The number one block to attracting love is rooted in one of these three childhood wounds. And once you become aware of them and you let them go, it changes everything. It's about understanding your relationship to love itself, knowing you can only attract love if you are first off feeling it on the inside. If in the mind it's like, I will feel love once this person comes in or XYZ happens, we're prolonging the feeling of love and continuing to get an equal reality to that lack of love. And when I look back to why the most popular video on my channel is a meditation with over 4 million views on attracting love, and why there are thousands of comments in that video of people saying that they manifested love after 21 days of listening to that meditation, what happened is I thought to myself, why is it that this meditation got so much positive feedback? And the main part of the meditation is feeling the love on the inside now, and doing that for 21 days begins to then change what we experience in the outer reality. So I'll go ahead and link that meditation below if you want to see, and also reading the comments helps you increase the belief as what's possible for you. This really is, your beliefs create your reality. So if you start to believe that you are love and you start to feel that love, and then you read other people's comments that say that they attracted love through listening to that meditation, it will increase the belief inside of yourself and then increase the probability that you then experience it in your life. So with that, let's get into this video right now. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron, and I help people expand their consciousness. Now, I really wanted to make this video because in my own life, I have completely transformed my own energy dynamics over the last 6 months to 8 months or so. I went through a lot of healing, a lot of shadow work, but I've always felt this little block around attracting love. Like, even though I knew intellectually a lot of these ideas, I couldn't figure out why there was this block there. I literally thought for a while that maybe like the higher self or something didn't want me to date or to get out there or to like open myself up to love or something. Like it would get in the way of my purpose and my mission and what I'm doing. And it was something that was there for it was kind of there underneath the surface for a long time, and I just felt blocked and I didn't really understand why. But the more I went into it, the more I realized what was really going on. And it's going to involve that of understanding our own childhood wounding. We all have one of 3 wounds. Many of us may have a combination of these wounds too, but once we heal these wounds and we start to feel that self-love, that's when the outer reality then begins to change. And I'm not kidding you. When I became aware of this, literally within days, my whole entire reality transformed. It's like there were always options there, but they were invisible to me because I was holding on to an old identity of myself. I was holding on to an old story of myself, and I had attachments that weren't allowing that in. So it's an incredible thing, but I'm not kidding you. It happens so quick once you become aware of what I share with you in this video. So first off, the 3 childhood wounds that are blocking love from coming into your life are one of these 3 things. It's either that we feel like we are not worthy. That's one of the main ones, and it's one of the most common limiting beliefs. We feel like we're not worthy of love. We're not worthy of being accepted the way that we are. The second one is a fear of abandonment. We're afraid we're going to be abandoned, that someone's going to leave us. So many times this is where people pleasers come in because they're afraid of abandonment. Therefore, what they do is they change themselves to mold to other people's reality to get validation, to get love and support, and that comes from childhood wounding, and we'll talk about that. But then the third one is not being able to trust. Not being able to trust other people, not being able to trust ourselves, and not being able to trust the universe. And a combination of these 3 things, for me, I'd say it's a little bit of all 3, to be honest. Definitely the fear of abandonment is something that I had to shed. And then also the not trusting, trying to control different areas of my life. Now, one of the main things I've realized, though, that's been the biggest game changer is I never realized how much shame that I had in my own life and around love. And this actually was a realization I had the other day talking about a buddy of mine, because I didn't realize how much shame I had in thinking that there was something wrong with me. So there's an underlying premise when there's shame that says there's something wrong with me. The difference between shame and guilt is that shame says there's something wrong with my identity. And then guilt is I've done something wrong, but I'm not necessarily a bad person. So guilt is something that is more action-based, whereas shame is something that is more identity-based. And what I was doing is because I felt like I wasn't worthy, which is also related to worthiness and the fear of abandonment, I felt like there was something wrong with me. I was attracting people into my life that would reflect back that energy dynamic pattern. So for example, growing up, my mom went through a lot of pain growing up, went through a lot of trauma growing up. And there were times that I felt like, her dad died when I was a couple years old and like 1 year old actually. And she was emotionally dealing with that. And then I felt in a way that I was emotionally abandoned. And it's not her fault. She was doing the best that she could. But in that emotional abandonment, I then said, maybe there's something wrong with me. And I felt alone. And I felt like I wasn't worthy. And now the funny thing is that I tend to attract women into my life that are more so preoccupied with their own stuff. It's almost like part of me was trying to fix other people, because if I could fix them, then maybe they would then love me. And I was replaying that same energy dynamic from back when I was a kid, now in my life, by attracting women that had, their own things going on to where then they really couldn't love me. Or that energy wasn't a two-way street. And it was beautiful because it was reflecting back to me this belief in shame or this belief in not worthiness. And what I had to learn out of that is I had to learn how to stand my ground and to really claim what I believe I deserve. And to really, honestly, a lot of this as well, because of that abandonment, I would then abandon myself for other. I would abandon myself to then give to someone else because if I could fix them, if I could give them enough, then they would love me back. And when I realized that I was abandoning myself, it was a huge epiphany because then I stopped abandoning myself. I started asking myself, what do I actually want out of this? I have a standard now. And if there's something that's not meeting that standard, then I know I walk away from it because I know my own worth now. And there are many of you that may not have strong boundaries because you're afraid of abandoning. You have abandoned yourself and you're looking for the external validation. You're looking for the attention or the external validation on the outside. And what happens is if you don't find it or you don't get it, then you feel like there's something missing. But the key to this whole process of attracting love is becoming whole. Because if you're not whole, if you're not feeling integrated, whole, and complete, then you're going to attract someone else that's also not feeling 100% worthy, whole, and complete. You're going to find somebody else that has a similar trauma wound. And a lot of this for me was really about letting go of attachment, letting go of ex-relationships, letting go of the story I told myself about them. I realized the story I was telling myself about these relationships was keeping that same childhood energy dynamic alive, where I was giving away myself and agreeing to things that I didn't really prefer and to different relationship dynamics I didn't prefer. And once I let that go, it moved out and allowed more space in my life to where all these opportunities literally were right in front of me. They were always there. I was just blind to it because I was so attached to the old. I was so attached to also looking on the outside for that love and that validation. So the key to attracting love is to become whole within yourself by becoming aware of your childhood wounds. And if you feel like you're unworthy, or if you feel like you're afraid of abandonment, or if you feel like you lack trust in your life, realize that these are things that can be changed. These are things that you can integrate by feeling it to heal it, by becoming aware of it, and then starting to check yourself. What happens is now I'm aware of when I feel unworthy or when I'm losing myself to change to other people's frame. I'm aware of it, so I don't do it. I make a new choice. And even if it's the trust, you realize this is all about the self as well. So if it comes from abandoning, being afraid of abandonment, and you were emotionally abandoned as a kid, or you attract emotionally abandoned people in your life, here was another huge epiphany. Me attracting emotionally abandoned people in my life was because I wasn't emotionally available. I was tied to a story of past relationships. I was also afraid that if I were to open up to love and receive love from the feminine, that I would it would be scary because I could get hurt again like I was when I was a kid. So I then realized that the more I open up is the more I allow in. So a lot of times that a fear of intimacy is something that we all experience, that we're blocking love because our nervous system really gets a little bit freaked out because it's not used to it. It's unknown. Like touch and getting close to someone may be kind of fearful. And that's why you'll get some people that can get into a relationship and maybe there's a lot of sexual polarity. But then what happens is they start to get close, then one of them runs away because that intimacy becomes kind of fearful. But there's no problem with the initial like energy of it, but then it runs away once things start getting deep. So this is something to be really aware of. And as I became more aware of this within myself, that, hey, I'm actually closing myself off energetically, then I'm like, oh, as I change that energy and I'm like, I made the choice to open. I made the choice to be vulnerable or to like connect and to not like, in the uncomfortableness of being around somebody that could truly love back, not being afraid of that, being willing to go into the unknown. So if you feel like you're afraid of abandonment, you most likely abandoned yourself. What do you really want? What's really authentic for you? Is it okay for you to set boundaries? If it's a thing about self-worth and you're looking for it on the outside, realize it's because you're not valuing yourself. And once you start valuing yourself, you have to create a stronger sense of self. Because if you're not feeling worthy or you feel abandoned, then most likely what's happened is you've let go of this boundary of yourself and you're just focused on other. And that's where codependent relationships come into play. And that's where you start to externalize your own sense of self-worth. So it's about bringing it back to the self, nurturing the self, creating boundaries for the self, leading in your own life. That will change your dynamic to love because then you'll start feeling that self-love on the inside. And then the trust means if you don't trust other people, it means you don't trust yourself. Yes, maybe one of your parents cheated on your other parents, or maybe somebody broke a sense of trust with you by doing something to you, or vice versa. But realize that this is about trusting the self. Self-love. The degree to which you can feel self-love is the degree to which you will attract love into your life. And then also letting go of the beliefs. It can really be this quick. Letting go of your beliefs and stories about love. I had for a long time believing that spirit or the spiritual side of me did not want me in a relationship because it's take away from my passion, my purpose. That was just a story. That was gluing me to old pattern dynamics of past relationships. The story. And as I let go of that, things immediately began to shift, but it's a choice you make. It's becoming aware of the story, becoming aware of the belief, and then seeing that it was there to keep you safe. But you don't need it to keep you safe. Your idea of safe is in the familiar. And the familiar may be a similar childhood wound. So the key to this is switching that and feeling the love on the inside. And once you start to feel that love on the inside, everything begins to change. So that's something that I encourage all of you to do. If you guys like this video, could you do me a favor and like the video below? Listen to that meditation. I'll go ahead and link it right here and you'll see it below. The most powerful meditation for attracting love. It's got over 4 million views. Read the comments to see what's possible. Commit to it for 21 days and watch how your life begins to change. With that being said, talk to you guys in the next video. And as always, peace, much love, and namaste.